Pick it up on your way back. Okay. They love that stuff. It's one of our favorite things.
Hi, I'm Kim Severson with the New York Times. It's August in Brooklyn. That means it's hot. So I decided to put the family in the car and drive to upstate New York for a little haycation.
Doesn't look like Brooklyn.
We slogged through New York traffic and finally arrived at Stony Creek Farm.
A lot of rocks in here.
There are so many rocks.
This wasn't just any old stay on a farm. This one was going to cost us about $300 a night. We stayed in special tents imported from Holland. We got fresh air, all the eggs we could eat, and showers that clearly were not going to be stocked with those little bottles of fancy shampoo.
Okay. Flush toilet.
Stony Creek is part of a new wave of farm stays that cater to city dwellers who want to get better connected to their food and get their hands dirty. Plus, you get a little education in the process.
I mean, we started farming to feed ourselves. That's what brought us here. We studied at school in New Hampshire.
Our hosts were Dan and Kate, young people with 2 kids who were trying to spread the gospel about sustainable agriculture.
Get over there. Come on.
The last 100 years, 150 years, we've lost our knowledge. We've lost people don't know how to grow food anymore. We're all starting to live in the cities. This was like the breadbasket of the world. We were going to feed the world because of how fertile it was, and we've destroyed it. It's come apart. It's coming apart at the seams, you know. And the thing that's going to sew it back together are going to be small farmers all across the United States. Every other day.
Some of Kate and Dan's neighbors think it's crazy to pay a lot of money to live and work on a farm.
And
Would a cowboy come to a bank and be a bank teller for like $2,000 a week? I don't think so. But, you know, there's a romance to it. You know, people love the farming and the animals, and it's, you know, you get your fingernails in the dirt, and you can't do... When we lived in Manhattan, my wife had to buy dirt.
Want to try again?
Although our food cost extra, eggs were free. Of course, that meant actually finding eggs. The young chickens near our tent hadn't started laying regularly yet, but my daughter remained ever hopeful.
Okay. Ready? One thing we get to do is to go feed our waste to the chickens. There's eggs in there. My big question, though, is it okay to feed, like, egg scraps and eggs to chickens?
yes, it is.
It's not weird?
No, they actually would eat their own eggs if they were, you know, if they were left, they'd eat their own eggs if they needed them, you know. It's just a matter of survival. Feed and...
There were plenty of other animals to get close and personal with, including a couple of delicious-looking Tamworth pigs. During a tour, Farmer Dan explained that he fed them a special fermented mash. It smelled like a mix of baking bread and brewing beer.
I just love the smell of it.
If you want vegetables, you have to pay for them. A farm basket costs $20.
Good job!
An hour in the garden with the farmer herself, harvesting your own vegetables and getting a little lecture on the ins and outs of organic farming, costs $35.
So, here we go. All right. Look at me. I'm farming.
Of course, the vegetables are delicious, and I am proud to say I think some of my beets were sold at the local farmer's market.
Garlic, yeah.
Part of my farm experience was the opportunity for another $35 to cook over an open fire. I got to forage through the farm store for ingredients and came up with grass-fed beef, some squash, and a little fennel that I thought might make a nice stew.
Now, we're going to let the onions cook.
The problem was it was 85 degrees out. The prep space had to be improvised, and the heat from the fire combined with the heat from the sun gave new meaning to the phrase Hell's Kitchen.
In this hot fire.
But I think the stew turned out great. Even Farmer Dan liked it.
Well, our haycation is over.
We headed down for one last feeding of the chickens. There were still no eggs, but it didn't really matter. We had a great weekend. We said one last goodbye to the farmers and headed back to steamy Brooklyn.